Everyone loves this verse that love is patient and love is kind. But many of us love the verse, but we don't know what it demands from us. Y'all, I'm still on the series and I got my strength back. This is the Love Is series and I'm Napolian and welcome to the Revival Room. Listen, today we are going to go to episode 10. I know this whole entire series has been crazy. God has really been just showing a lot of us what love is, also what love isn't. And so I'm going to continue today in a teaching that talks about love always hopes, even when it looks like nothing will change. This one is going to be very imperative. This is one that I want you to listen back to. This is one I want you to send to somebody else because, well, you're going to see. Watch this. Hope is easy when things are working, when prayers are being answered, when everything is going right. Hope is easy then. When people are showing up, when people have your back, when people are speaking out, when people rally around you. Hope is easy then. But what about when nothing changes? What about when the relationship still feels stuck? What about the situation that still feels heavy? What about when the person you believed in looks like they're going backwards? You were hoping that this would go a certain way. You were hoping that relationship would continue to move forward. You was hoping that things would turn around. You was hoping that there would be reconciliation. You was hoping for these things. What happens then? This is where most people lose hope, not love. Watch this. Because love doesn't just hope when it's easy. Love holds hope when it's the hardest. Are y'all hearing me? Love is holding on to hope when it's the hardest thing to do. So I want you to watch this. 1 Corinthians 13:7. It says, love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Now I want you to see this. That phrase, hopes all things, doesn't mean that love is unrealistic. It doesn't mean that it's some type of fantasy love or some type of love that is separate from reality. It's talking about love refuses to accept that what you see right now is the final version of the story. Hope says, I know this marriage is messed up, but I don't see this as the finality of the story. Hope is looking at that child and saying, I know this is really dark, but I don't believe that this is the end of the story because love sees what is, but believes in what it could be. Hope still keeps the option open that this could turn good. And we're living in a society right now where people have lost their hope. They don't want to hope again. Matter of fact, we are canceling everything. We're wiping everything out. We are just turning our backs on everything. And if it doesn't work out this way, I'm quick to move on to the next. But this is where love says, I still have hope. I see what it is. I actually see what it's not. But I still see what it could be. Did you get that? I see what it is. I see what it's not. But I also see what it could be. So if you lose hope in people, you'll stop loving them correctly. And I thank God for people not losing hope in me. I mean, I have a circle that never lost hope in me. But more importantly than my circle, I have a father who never lost hope in me. Do you know that God still has hope in you? I don't care how dark your days are right now. I don't care what your situation look like right now. I don't know what you're facing, but whatever it is, God is still having hope in you. Yeah, he has hope in you. He wishes that you will pass this test, that you will go through it with flying colors, that you will keep the faith, that you will believe him, that you'll hold on. He has hope. That leads me to point number 1. Love sees potential, not just problems. Love sees potential, not just problems. Now, this is really big because most people are experts at finding flaws. Be careful when you hear people only talk about people's flaws. Be careful when people switch up real quick and now it's all their flaws that's being brought to the forefront. Because the Bible tells us that Satan is the accuser of the brethren. Satan is. See, real Christians and deep-seated, deep-hearted Christians, they don't just bring up people's flaws and are quick to just spot out different things that's wrong with people. That's not the spirit of God, just so y'all know. They can tell you everything wrong with a person. They can tell you their habits. They can tell you their attitude. They can tell you their issues. But love doesn't just diagnose people's issues. It don't. It discerns their potential. That's why I don't allow people to tell me about a person before I get a chance to meet the person. You can't just run up on me and just tell me, don't talk to that person right there because they like this. No, that was your experience. Maybe y'all chemistry didn't work. Maybe your attitude set them off. Maybe you had a trigger that triggered their trigger, and now both of y'all just triggered, but we ain't got that trigger. So our relationship could be cool. You can't come in and just taint somebody to me just because you don't like them. You can't control me and tell me who to like and who not to like. It just doesn't work that way. Romans 4:17 says, God calls those things which be not as though they were. Sounds like hope to me. It sounds like God has hope that he can call something that's not as though they were. Watch this. God doesn't just deal with who you are. He speaks to who you're becoming. I need y'all to put that in the chat and say, I'm not who I was. I'm still becoming. And that's the problem. Most people want to write your story with a period, an exclamation point, and say, this is who you are. No, this is not who you are. God says, this is who you're becoming. So even when people don't see who you're becoming, don't worry about it. Their vision sucks. They don't have vision like God has vision. They don't even have the vision that you have. I want y'all to hear that. He speaks to who you're becoming. And if we're called to love like him, that means we don't just see people as they are. We see people for what they can be. And most people can't spot out good leaders because they can't see past where a person is. You cannot look at where they are. You got to see where they're going, what God is shaping in them, forming in them, developing and cultivating in them. You see, love looks past the mess and sees the miracle. Love looks past the failure and sees the future. Love looks past now and sees the next. The next. I need you to hear me, because love doesn't ignore flaws. It refuses to let flaws define the future. Did y'all hear that? Love doesn't ignore flaws. I see the flaw. It just refuses to let the flaws define the future. We're all flawed. Be weary and leery of people who don't want to expose their own flaws. They always walk with perfection. Everything they do is perfect. Every move they make, perfect. Be careful, because no one is flawless. Okay, I'm going to leave that one alone. We're going to go to point number 2. Hope is rooted in God, not people. Now watch this. Here's where people get it wrong. They put their hope in people. I've done this. You put your hope in people, and then when someone fails, when someone dies, when someone leaves you, all of your hope dies, all of your love dies, all of everything just goes away because you put so much pressure on this one relationship. Your hope would die when people fail. Your hope would die when they mess up. Your hope would die when they let you down. But biblical hope is different. It's not rooted in human consistency. It's rooted, watch this, in God's faithfulness. It's not rooted in human consistency. We keep talking about how people ride for us and do this. Man, people will ride for you. They will say, Hosanna, and in a week they'll say, crucify him. I want y'all to watch that. Best thing in the world turn into the worst thing in the world. How do you switch that quick? It's the same thing that Jesus had to deal with, from Hosanna to crucifying. Hebrews 10:23 says, let us hold unswervingly to the hope we profess, for he who promised is faithful. I'm not worried about how people are not faithful. I'm worried about how God is faithful. God is the type of person that says, I'll see you in hell and I'll come in there with you. Some people are waiting for you to come out of hell before they get with you. Look at who shows up for you when you go through your darkest moments, not when you shining, not when you popping. Look at the people who ride with you in your darkest season. Because some people only can ride with you when you winning. But your real riders, they know how to jump in the fight with you when you losing and when your back is against the wall. Those people are loving you with the love of God because that's what God does. He is faithful always. For he who promised is faithful. What is he faithful to? What he promised. Your hope isn't sustained by how people perform. Your hope isn't sustained by how people treat you and how they show up. It's sustained by who God is. And that is where you got to get your revelation. Is that God says he's faithful. And if he's faithful, he's faithfully going to show up. Doesn't matter if you're by yourself. I used to sing this song all the time. It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. So even when people are inconsistent, you can still have hope because God isn't. Now watch this. If your hope is in people, it will break. If your hope is in God, it will build. I got a question for you. Do you have hope or do you not have hope? If you don't have hope, it's because you put it in people. If you still have hope, it's because you put it in God. As long as God is in the equation, I still have hope. Watch this. As long as God's not dead, I still have hope. I don't care what you say. As long as God is speaking over me, I still got hope. And that's how you have to move in this season. Move with your swaggy faith because you have to understand if God is still writing your story, it doesn't matter if man closed the book on you because God ain't writing that book no more. He has moved on. It leads me to point number 3. Love doesn't quit on what God is still working on. My God. Some people walk away too soon. Some people give up too soon. Some people quit too soon. Not because it's over, but because it's uncomfortable. Where in your life right now is it uncomfortable and you're tempted to give up? You're tempted to quit. You're tempted to walk out. I got a word for you. Love understands something deeper. God is still working even when you can't see it. So don't give up on what God is still working on. Philippians 1:6 says, he who began a good work in you. What kind of work? A good work. If he began it, watch this, he will carry it on to completion. I need you to drop in the chat that he's going to complete this thing. He's going to complete it. It's not over. It's not finished. You will bounce back. There's buoyancy inside of you. This is not the end of your story. He's not done and he's not finished. That tells me that if God started something in them, that means he's not finished yet. And love aligns with heaven's timeline, not with human impatience. Listen, God has a timeline, and his timeline doesn't always match up with your timeline. And here's a problem. When we're in control of our narrative and in control of our story and in control of everything, what happens is we're moving to our impatience. When God is up there saying, I need you to leave that in the oven a little bit more. I'm not done with that. I'm not finished with that. Leave it alone. My mom will make a cake and she'll guard that oven because whenever it's time to pull it out, she wants that thing to rise to its fullest potential. But being impatient causes someone to go to the oven, open it up just to see and peek in on it. You've been peeking in on some people's lives and you've been opening their oven too soon. And God is trying to get you to see, leave the thing in the oven. Let God work on it. Let God cook. Let God bake. Let him have his way. Stop going to the oven peeking in. Did they do this today? Did they do that today? Are they making progress? Are they not making progress? Why are you checking up on them? Let God work. Woo, let God work. You see, love stays engaged. Love stays prayerful. Love stays expectant. Watch this. I need you to hear this now. Don't give up on people God hasn't given up on yet. I hope y'all hearing this. I beg you, Don't give up on people that God hasn't given up on yet, because you're going to look back and say, I gave up a little too soon. That leads me to point number 4. Hope speaks life, not limitations. This is good. It speaks life, not limitations. What you say matter, because your words either reinforce who someone is or release who they're becoming. Parents, stop looking at where your child is. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care what their daddy was like, their mama was like, what runs in the bloodline, what their attitude is like. No, 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 no. What we cannot do, we cannot reinforce where they are. We have to now start speaking to who they're becoming. Proverbs 18:21 says, death and life are in the power of the tongue. Y'all remember I did a teaching on that about onions and oranges. Go back and check it out. It's fire. It's fire. Okay, but watch this. Hope-filled love doesn't constantly remind people of their failures. I am so sick of people that when people are making steps forward in their life, there's always someone that comes in and reminds them of their past, reminds them of their failures. See, hope speaks life into their future. And some of you are losing friends, some of you are losing family, people out of your life because you don't have enough hope to speak to their future. It says, I see you better. I see you better in the future. I see better in you. I see that you're not going to get stuck here. I see that God is not done with you yet. I see that God is cultivating. I see that you're moving towards something greater. If your words don't carry hope, your love will feel like pressure, not purpose. Woo! I hope y'all hearing me. If your words don't carry hope, your love will feel like pressure, not purpose. And that's what's happening with a lot of relationships, a lot of friendships. We are putting pressure on people, but we are not helping them complete purpose. If people come to your church and all they feel is pressure, and they don't feel like they can meet their purpose, I'm telling you right now, you're just putting a bunch of rules and regulations on them, and those rules and regulations only produces pressure. And now the spiritual people want to be like, well, pressure produces diamonds. Not that type of pressure. Not that type of pressure. And that leads me to point number 5. Hope requires patience with the process. You gotta have patience with the process. Everybody's talking about trust the process. Well, how do I know if I'm trusting the process? If I have patience. But here's the tension. Okay? You see potential, but you're still dealing with the process. And the process is slow. The process is messy. The process is frustrating. It's irritating. It's getting on your nerves. It's unfulfilling. But watch what Galatians 6:9 says. It says, let us not grow weary in doing good. Notice that it says grow weary. That lets me know that weariness can creep up on you. Weariness can bud. Weariness can come out of nowhere. Weariness is always expanding if you don't kill it at its core. Okay? Don't grow weary in well-doing. Hope doesn't mean instant results. Hope is not going to give you a microwave blessing. It's not going to produce something overnight. It means sustained belief over time. I'm not impressed with people who can believe really quickly for something. I'm impressed with people who can go through hell and high water and still have their faith, still have their hope. Darius Daniels talks about it in one of his messages, talking about big faith is for big things, but long faith is for things that takes time, because transformation isn't microwave. It's formed in layers, season, watch this, and repetition. And just because it's not happening fast doesn't mean it's not happening at all. And this is why, before you go and judge your son, or before you go and judge that woman, make sure you're not prejudging something that God is still working on, and that you're saying that nothing's happening just because you can't see it happening. God is always working. And that leads me to point number 6. Jesus loved with hope even when people fail. Watch this. Jesus saw Peter deny him and told him he was going to deny him, and still called him a leader. He saw Thomas doubt, and he still called him a leader. He saw broken people and still entrusted them with purpose. It's only today that we want everyone to follow us that's perfect. Jesus says, you're going to deny me, and I still want you. We're not going to go there. We're not going to go there. Luke 22:32 says, I have prayed for you that your faith may not fail. I have prayed for you that your faith may not fail. Jesus didn't ignore their issue. He just refused to let their issues become the end of their story. He loved them with hope attached because Jesus just didn't see who people were. He saw who grace would make them. He said, follow me and I will make you fishers of men. You smell like fish today, but later you're going to smell like men of fish. You're going to smell like men who caught fish. I got a question for you. How do you smell? Do you smell too posh? Or are you still getting in the gutter where the fish are? Are you still getting into that sea where the fish are? Are you willing to get back into that boat? Or are we now just sailing in yachts? Have we made this Christian thing so easy now that we don't want to get dirty anymore? Let me tell you something. Everybody is not going to have this nice little polished life. There are people going through real stuff, and they need real people to jump in the ship with them. But I got a question for you. Do you smell like fish? Do you smell like the fish? Have you went out there and got into the water, pulled in that net, and started picking up the fish? Can your hands get dirty? Can your hands get dirty? Because that's what Jesus did. He loved them with hope attached. He didn't see them where they were. He saw who grace would make them. And this leads me to point number 7. I'm almost done. Why does people lose hope? This is why. Because disappointment is heavy, because waiting is exhausting, because loving people can feel like risk with no return. So instead of hoping, watch this, people start expecting the worst. And now that I expect the worst, my hope is dead. My hope is just done. And this is what they do. They call it, I'm just being real. Or no, I'm being realistic. But really, this is protection disguised as wisdom. Y'all not ready for this today. Proverbs 13:12 says, hope deferred makes the heart sick. Look at this. Hope deferred makes the heart sick. There's a lot of people with a sick heart. Look good on the outside, but the heart is just sick. Because when hope gets heavy and when hope gets delayed, your heart starts shutting down. And when your heart shuts down, watch this, love follows it. Love shuts down. You can't love when you lost hope. And cynicism is just wounded hope that never healed. When you see people that are cynical, it's just wounded hope that never healed. So, y'all hear me out. Coming to the end. Love always hopes because love always believes that God is still moving. And even when nothing looks like it's changing, hope doesn't deny reality. It declares that reality isn't final. Hope looks at that marriage and says, God's not finished. Hope looks at that child and says, God's going to keep his promise. Hope looks at that sickness and says, Rapha is about to show up. Hope looks at that financial situation that you're going through and says, Jireh's still going to be here. So I want you to have some practical applications from this. I want you to ask yourself, have I lost hope in someone God is still working on? What if God is still working on your family member? What if God is still working on that unsaved person that you're believing God that they're going to give their life to Christ? Number 2, am I speaking life or reinforcing limitation? In other words, what's coming out of my mouth? Am I speaking to their future or am I speaking to who they are now? Watch this. Has disappointment turned me cynical? Has disappointment turned me cynical? Listen, I'm going through one of the biggest storms of my life right now, but I refuse to allow my heart to get hard, messy, angry. I'm not going to do it because my blessing is still coming from my heart. And this is what I want you to do. I want you to pray, God, restore my hope where I've grown tired. Help me to see the way you see them. Teach me to believe in what you're building, even when I can't see it. Give me love that doesn't give up and hope that doesn't run. I need y'all to hear me. Love always hopes. Now that you know what hope is, hear this again. Love always hopes. That's the word. That's the jab. That's the one that hurts. I don't get a chance to stop hoping, because if I'm walking in love, I should always have hope. I love you, and I will see you here next Wednesday at 6 p.m.